This is Society of Thoracic Surgeons General Thoracic User Group call for Wednesday, May 27th. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for joining today's call. On the call today, we have from the STS, myself, Leanne Jones, the database manager for the General Thoracic and Congenital Heart Surgery databases, Carol Crone, Senior Clinical Manager for the STS National Databases, and we also have IQVIA colleagues on the line, Melanie Bent and team on the call as well. Today, I'll provide a brief STS update. Then I'll turn things over to Melanie for the IQVIA update. And finally, we will end with our Q&A open discussion. If you have any specific questions related to your data submissions, your harvest upload, et cetera, please be sure to include your ticket or your case number with your question in the Q&A. If you have already submitted your question to IQVIA's support team, that'll just give us something to reference during the Q&A. Alrighty, for our STS updates, in case you missed the AQO update from the monthly webinar, AQO will be going virtual this year. We do have the schedule for the AQO meeting. So the schedule for General Thoracic Database is as follows. General Thoracic meeting will be held on Wednesday, September the 30th. We'll have live content from 10 to 12 Central and from 1 to 3 Central. Then we'll have our opportunity for breaks, for our break exhibits and e-posters from 12 to 1 Central and 3 to 4 Central. Also, in addition to the live content, there will also be some pre-recorded webinars consisting of 5 to 10 videos of database-related content. In terms of the General Thoracic data version 5.21 upgrade, we are in the final stages of the data collection form update, and beta testing is set to begin soon on the new data collection form with the core group. Next, I'm going to turn things over to Melanie Bent for our IQVIA update. Melanie?
Thanks, Leanne, and hello, everyone. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's coming up. So this weekend, we actually have a scheduled update that will be happening on the platform. That's going to include a product update. So the very first item that's listed there, that is upgrading our current version of the product from, it'll be product version 1.21, and then it'll be updated to a later version, which would be 1.28. So just to give a little background on that. So general product update, and with that, we're also including additional fixes that are specific for the General Thoracic registry. A couple of items that we do have tickets that are associated with, so many of those tickets that are currently open will get closed. One of those high priority items that has a target fix is related to the race documented. I did bring this up before in a previous webinar, but just so you know, this weekend is the weekend where we will be applying that fix. Also, we will be updating existing actual fields. It's the temp code and temp date fields that are available. We are updating the field descriptions that will be associated with the COVID-19 requirement that STS has issued. So existing fields, they're already there. We're already able to accept those fields if you started collecting those for COVID. The only thing that we are doing is that on the front end, we're updating the actual text to reflect the actual question related to COVID. We also will be applying updates related to the missing variable report. We did have reports where there were data variables that were appearing on reporting timeframes which were not expected. So, for example, 2.3 data variables that were appearing during the reporting period where it would have been 2.41. So those items have been addressed and will be updated on that report this weekend. And then one other item, we noted at the, I believe it was raised actually by one of our users where they tried to call a phone number that was listed in the footer for our support team, and that actually was not the correct phone number. So we did get that updated. So that also will be applied, and that's the contact support footer at the very bottom of the application. So we have updated that accordingly. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And I did talk about this new report that we're currently in development on, but I wanted to make sure that I share this news again, just in case there were anyone that probably wasn't on the previous webinar that we had. But this report is the Harvest Summary Report, and this is going to allow you to see an aggregated view of your data in regards to the validations that are currently available for those actual cases. And so instead of looking at the submission, so at the time of when you're uploading files, that submission, of course, would have an associated DQR. And so you would be able to see activity. If the activity, of course, if those records are either new or updated, you would be able to see those related validations. This report actually will give you a real-time snapshot based on the time frame or the date range that you enter. So you're able to go in, put in a specific date range, and those would be correlated to the surgery dates. And it will allow you to review all of the records that fall within that time period, and you could look at the current validations that are associated with them. So as you're uploading and as you're making corrections, those corrections, of course, are being processed. And if there are no validations associated with those cases, then you would see, of course, cases that does not have validations. If you have any outstanding current validations, those would, of course, display, and it would be the real-time information that's available on those cases. You can enter in past dates. So again, you're not confined to a specific time frame. You can control that by using that date entry. You also will have the ability to drill down. So just like the DQR, you could select the actual warning in this instance, and that information is going to populate down in the bottom portion of the report. So again, similar functionality of what you're used to seeing within the DQR. But again, just wanted to share this report and know that it will be available soon. And this would be another way for you to be able to look at your data in a holistic view. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And then other upcoming reports that we're working on. We are putting together mock-ups to be able to share with STS, so that's underway. And then, of course, we're still working with DCRI with making sure that they're able to get the data set, analyze that data set, and then send that back to us. And that's what we call our bidirectional interface. And so with this interface, we'll be able to get that information over to them. They'll be able to send that back over to us. And then we would take that data that's analyzed, surface that in a new report. So this is not going to be integrated, because this has been a question that's come up also. It's not going to be integrated into your current dashboard, for example. This would be a brand new dashboard report. And this report, once it's available, will be a new link within the operational reports menu. As we get closer and we have availability for when the reports will, basically enable in the environment, we will have education and training, and we'll be providing all of this to all of the users. And so again, more information will be shared once we get closer. All right, and I believe that is the end of my current update. So Leanne, I will turn it right back over to you.
Thanks, Melanie. So next we just have, and many of you have seen this before, this is the SPS IQVIA support plan. Just going to touch on this really briefly. Here we have if you have a question related to data submission, data quality report, dashboard. Of course, the first people you would reach out to would be the IQVIA's customer support. Here we have the phone and the email. Your question will go directly to Tier 1, and if Tier 1 is unable to answer your question, they'll route to Tier 2, IQVIA Tier 2 support, or they will route your question to STS directly. STS, if we are unable to answer your questions, if it's in regards to data analytics, we will contact DCRI and route to them if necessary. And IQVIA Tier 2 support, if it's a vendor-related question, and if you do realize that it's something that needs to be addressed by your vendor, we ask that you contact your vendor directly. If it's more of a, I guess like a data file structure issue or something to that effect, IQVIA Tier 2 would follow up directly with the database vendor. Here again, you've all have seen this slide before as well. Here's a listing of resources that are available to you. We have resource documents, the STS National Database feedback form, webinar info, training videos, et cetera, can all be found out on the STS website, out on the STS National Database webpage. Also, here is my email address, ljones@sts.org, if you need to contact me directly. As always, again, here is my contact information, direct email, direct phone. If you have any database operational questions, we ask that you email stsdb@sts.org. That would be anything in regards to contracts, access to the IQVIA platform. If you have questions about participation fees, again, just email us at stsdb@sts.org. All right. Before we get into the Q&A, I just wanted to provide the dates for our next general thoracic surgery database webinars. Our next monthly webinar is scheduled for June 10th at 1:30 Central, and our next general thoracic user group call is scheduled for June 23rd at 2:30 p.m. Central. That is actually all that we have today. Next, we're going to turn things over to Q&A. Please use the Q&A function if you have any questions. We'll answer as many questions as possible, and as always, we encourage your feedback and would love to hear from you. So please be sure to submit any of your questions to the Q&A. So let's see here. Next, well, it looks like we have some questions coming in to the Q&A, so we'll go ahead and get started. Our first question is how to enroll to get email updates, notifications of STS webinars and user group meetings. So our email notifications are sent to primary data and file contacts as well as backup data and file contacts. And I think they may be sent to surgeons as well. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but I think primarily it's the primary data and file contacts and backup contacts. If you're not currently listed as a contact for your site, your first step would be to fill out the participant contact form out in the STS website. If you have any questions about filling out that form, you can either email me directly, ljones@sts.org, or you could also email stsdb@sts.org. If you are already listed as a contact and you're not getting these emails, we suggest that you do contact your IT department to make sure that the stsdb@sts.org mailbox has been whitelisted. And there's also the mail.clickdimensions.com is also another email address that we ask that is whitelisted as well.
And Leanne, this is Carol.
Yep.
If somebody is not getting emails, sometimes their work email is blocking STS. So we are able to accept the secondary email. If they reach out to stsdb@sts.org, they and let us know what their PID number is and that this is a secondary email. Jane can add those in. I just put that in the chat box, the email address in the chat box, and I'll put the participant contact form there as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Our next question. After your direction last week, I resent my email to IQVIA support, SPS tech support at IQVIA.com, to ask that my duplicate record submission problem be escalated to Tier 2 support, and I have received no response. Susan, do you have a ticket number that you could provide for us, and then we could pass that along? Melanie can get that, and we could get some follow-up for you. Melanie, did you have anything to add in regards to?
No, we would just need to get the ticket
issue?
number to see.
Mhm.
We would just need to see what's happening.
Okay. Got it. All right. Our next question, can IQVIA post a list of known issues so we're not submitting tech support emails for a known issue? Asked if they were posted anywhere on the IQVIA website, but was instructed that they are not currently listed.
They are listed under the notifications section within the platform. We have items listed there. And then after this deployment that we will do over the weekend, the list that was referenced in the PowerPoint will be listed again once the deployment happens this weekend. We also post a notification within the notifications menu, but you can always check that for that type of information.
Thank you, Melanie. All right, our next question. Prior to the transition to the IQVIA platform, we could go onto the Duke site and review the current SPS contract summary. How do we do that now? I know how to add and remove surgeons, but there isn't a link to the contract like we had before. So at this time, the contract summary is not available in the IQVIA platform. If you need a listing of your current contacts, just email me directly, ljones@sts.org, and I can get that information for you. Or you can email spsdb@sts.org. But I think, Melanie, there is a plan to possibly get a report like that in the IQVIA platform.
I'm sorry. So to show surgeon, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Okay.
Like,
so in the, I know in the Duke, there was like a contract and contact summary report, so they could just pull up a listing of all their current contacts for their site. And I think we had been in discussion. I think there was a talk
so that we
would look into, so they could see their current contacts, right?
We would need to just come back to that. If it's to be able to show, I guess, the current list of users, that would have, we would need to just know exactly what those requirements are in regards to what needs to display for, who needs to have access to see that. But yeah, we can, that's something that could be available. We currently don't have it available, but we can.
All right, thank you. Okay, our next question, any update on reports for first harvest for both adult cardiac and general thoracic databases? I think they're talking about the risk-adjusted results.
So that's, again, still in progress with DCRI. We do not have a specific date at this moment, but once we have more information, we'll be sharing in regards to both registries. Right now, adult, we have shared already proof of concept on a couple of the reports that would be coming back from Duke. And again, they're still in the works of doing the analysis. So once we have the approved structure for those reports, and of course, once we get the data back, we'll be able to have that available within the platform.
Thank you, Melanie. Our next question, how do I get a ticket number? So when you call IQVIA tech support, you need to ask them to please submit a ticket. And once your ticket is submitted, you should get I believe it's an RITM number. Is that correct, Melanie?
That's correct.
Yep. Right. So,
hey, Leanne.
Jean is on.
Yeah, Leanne, this is Jean.
Hi, Jean.
I do want to let Susan know that I'm not seeing anything that came to Tier 2, so I'm going to look further into it. And if we don't find anything, Susan, we'll have someone reach out to you directly.
Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
All right. And Melanie, this is from Barb. She checked the notification section for known issues, but her issue was
She's
not
seeing.
listed.
And so,
Mhm.
Barbara, in the instance, if it's a specific issue for you, all tickets or all, I guess, items that are logged, if it's specific only to you, that probably is not going to be listed as a known issue. Usually known issues impact all users or a subset of users. If you have an ID that was provided to you, if you can share that, and then we can take a look at it. But if it's an instance where maybe you're trying to upload and your file is throwing an error message and that's specific for you, you know, that would be something that we would be working with just you on, and probably wouldn't report that as a known issue on the notification section. But if you have an ID, please go ahead and share it.
Thank you. Our next question from Claudette. What is the general turnaround time for clinical thoracic questions? Claudette, we have a 30-day. I do have about 5 questions that I just got surgeon response from over the weekend. So if you have not heard back, please let me know. I have caught up on all the clinical questions except for those that have required surgeon input. So if you do not have a response to your question, please let me know. We do have another call coming up. I believe it's on the 15th. I'm not sure. So we do have another call coming up within the next couple of weeks. So we will get questions answered, but we have answered all of the current questions within the last 30 days. So Devendra, it looks like you have some questions regarding the PCF, the participant contact form. It's asking for a 5-digit participant ID. If you could just email me directly, and then we could work with you to get you your participant ID number if you're not aware of that. So again, if you could just email me directly, ljones@sts.org, and we can help you get that. I can help you get that information. Okay. Let's see. Looks like our next question is, there a release date for the direct input functionality for the thoracic database on the IQVIA platform? And is there a data specification or training manual available for this functionality? It's a great question, Claudette.
And we are currently targeting the opening up of direct data entry for July 1st. So of course we will be providing educational material around that. So that is going to be available within the platform. We'll post information within the library, and then of course there is a dedicated page on the STS website, which is the database transitions page, where information would be posted there also.
Thank you, Melanie. Our next question, will thoracic be doing webinars to walk through the DCF like adult has been doing? And yes, the answer to that question is yes. So once the thoracic data collection form for version 5.21 is finalized, we will be doing the webinars to walk through the same way that adult cardiac has been doing for the new adult cardiac version. And also in July, the general thoracic database will also have new data manager webinars. So we will be instituting that for July. So keep a lookout for announcements coming out soon for those new database manager webinars coming out again in July for the thoracic database. I'm not seeing any additional questions, so please, anyone, if you have any questions, take the time to go ahead and get those submitted so we can get those answered for you. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Carol, did you have anything you wanted to add, or Melanie, if you had anything that you wanted to add, anything that I may have missed?
No, not that I can think of.
Oh, same here. I think we've covered the stuff that we wanted to cover. Oh, wait, I think I see more stuff coming through the questions.
Yep. Here we go. We have our next question from Arlene. Did you say when version 5.21 was planning to go live? As of right now, we are still on track. Version 5.21 is set to go live January 2021. And where, Kathy, wanted to know, where is the question submission form? I'm sorry, I may have missed which question submission form you're referring to.
This is the clinical question, the FAQ
Okay.
clinical question mailbox, and I put it in the response, but I'll also put it in the chat box.
Sounds great. Thank you, Carol. And again, Carol did put that, the FAQ mailbox email address in the chat box. Let's see, I'll give a couple more minutes to see if we have any additional questions come in. And again, Carol, for those, Carol did just put my email and the clinical question email in the chat box. So thank you, Carol.
Welcome.
I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. I'll give just another minute. Definitely want to make sure we use everyone's time wisely. Our next question, we do have another question. My understanding is that the IQVIA platform will not have the reporting functions as those of other vendor databases. It will only be for direct data entry in July, but reporting will be limited. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's not going to, there will be, over time, we'll continue to add additional features as SDS directs. But when we initially launch, it is going to, of course, have direct data entry and base reports. There won't be any kind of custom reporting functionality that you may be used to within your current vendor software. But over time, there'll be, additional items and reports that would be added, but not for the initial launch.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. All right, we'll hold on just a few more. I'm not seeing any additional questions. If anyone has any questions regarding AQO, we're happy to answer them. Again, if you do have questions that come up after you think of after this webinar is over, please feel free to email me directly. Again, happy to answer any questions. Let's see here, I'll give it till about 4 o'clock Eastern. And then if we don't have any additional questions, I think we can go ahead and end early. Just again, want to make sure we make use of everybody's time. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any additional questions come in, so I just wanted to thank you everyone for joining. Today was a little short and sweet, but as always, we're here for you, and we have these calls to give you all the opportunity to ask any questions with IQVIA on the line. So again, if you do have any questions that you can think of after this webinar, please feel free to email me directly. And if I can't get them answered, I will get them passed along to the appropriate person for a response. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. We'll see you on our next webinar. Our monthly webinar, again, is scheduled for June 10th at 1:30 Central, and then our next user group call is June 23rd at 2:30 Central Time. So thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and take care. Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.